Ancient Egyptian Gods, Part 2. In our last episode, we covered some of the most famous ancient Egyptian deities, including Ra, Osiris, Horus, and Anubis. Today, we'll be looking at some more lesser-known gods and goddesses from Egyptian mythology. Make sure to stick around until the end for a special bonus deity that may just surprise you. Let's get into it. Bastet. Bastet is one of the most popular goddesses in ancient Egyptian religion, often shown with the head of a cat and the body of a woman. She was associated with the pharaoh's daughter and was worshipped throughout Egypt, with her main temple being at Bubastis. Bast was a goddess of protection, fertility, motherhood, magic, music, and dancing. Her worship spread throughout Egypt, likely due to her association with the pharaoh's daughter, who was considered a living goddess herself. In her role as a protector, Bastet watched over pregnant women and children and was also invoked against harmful magic and venomous snakes. Ancient Egyptians kept cats as pets, possibly because they were seen as sacred animals representing the goddess, and mummified them when they died. The goddess was so beloved that even the great goddess Hathor was said to have turned into a cat to serve her. Geb is the personification of the earth in ancient Egyptian religion, and he is one of the oldest gods in the Egyptian pantheon. He is often depicted as a man with arms raised over his head, symbolizing the mountains, wearing a crown representing the sky. Geb was married to his sister Nut, the personification of the sky, and together they had 4 children: Osiris, born of Nut's tears; Isis, born from Nut's breath; Set, born from Nut's anger; and Nephthys, born from Nut's saliva. When Nut gave birth to their first 3 children, she did not feel pain, but when it was time for Nephthys, she experienced contractions and cried out in agony. Hearing his wife's cries, Geb picked her up and walked around the world, comforting her and making offerings to all the gods so they would come to help. Eventually, the pain went away, and Nephthys was born. Another myth says that the sky and earth were originally one being, but then separated when they embraced each other too passionately and were ripped apart by their son, Set. As punishment, Geb was banished to the Underworld for eternity, where he became trapped under a stone slab. Hathor. Hathor is one of the most important goddesses in ancient Egyptian mythology, representing motherhood, music, dance, love, beauty, joy, and protection. She was also associated with motherhood and was believed to be the protector of pregnant women and new mothers. Hathor had many forms, including that of a cow, which symbolized her connection to the sky and the sun. She was also associated with the pharaoh's daughter and was considered a member of the royal family. One story about her relates to the birth of Horus, when she nursed him back to health after he was poisoned by Set. Another myth tells of how she saved the sun god Ra from the chaos serpent Apophis every day. To do this, she traveled across the sky in her boat, armed with a powerful fan that blew away the darkness and allowed the sun to shine through. She was typically depicted with the head of a cow, or with a sun disk on her head, as well as holding a sistrum, a musical instrument used to accompany dancing and singing. Anu is an ancient Egyptian god who personifies the concept of air. He was one of the oldest gods in the Egyptian pantheon, dating back to the Old Kingdom period. Anu was considered to be the father of the sky god Horus and the grandfather of King Tut. He was often depicted as a man wearing a tall white crown that represented the sky. Anu was also associated with the concept of chaos and was seen as the bringer of storms and floods. He was believed to be the husband of the earth goddess, Geb, and together they had 4 children: Osiris, Isis, Set, and Nephthys. However, there are also myths that state that Set was actually the son of Geb and Nut alone. In one myth, Geb and Nut embrace each other, but their son Set comes between them, causing them to separate and become trapped in their respective places in the sky and on the earth. This separation then caused chaos to be released, throwing the world into disorder. It was up to Horus, the son of Geb and Nut, to restore order by defeating Set. Thoth. Thoth is one of the most intelligent gods in Egyptian mythology. He is depicted with the head of an ibis bird or a baboon, and is credited with inventing writing and magic. His main center of worship was at Hermes Trismegistus, who was considered the god of wisdom, knowledge, and magic. He was also the patron god of scribes, and was responsible for recording the deeds of mortals in the Book of the Dead. He was often called upon to help guide souls through the underworld, and was seen as a judge of the dead. In one myth, Thoth intervened in a dispute between his brother Set and his sister Isis over the throne of Egypt. He helped to broker a peace treaty between them and established a monarchy as a way of keeping the country in order. He was also involved in the story of Osiris and helped his wife Isis to resurrect him long enough to conceive Horus, their son, who would later avenge his father's death. As the god of wisdom and magic, he was highly respected and his teachings were sought after by mortals. He was seen as a teacher and a counselor, and was often called upon to help mortals in times of need. Ma'at. Ma'at was an ancient Egyptian goddess who personified truth, justice, and cosmic order. She was depicted as a woman wearing a sun disk on her head and holding a staff topped with a feather. Ma'at was considered to be the daughter of the sun god Ra and the sister of the moon god Thoth. She was highly revered by the Egyptians and was seen as the upholder of the natural and social order. In Egyptian society, Ma'at was seen as the standard by which all people should live their lives. She represented the concept of living in harmony with the gods and with each other. Those who lived according to the principles of Ma'at were seen as virtuous, and those who did not were seen as corrupt and out of balance. Ma'at was also associated with the concept of death and the afterlife. She was seen as the guide of the dead and the bringer of justice. In the underworld, she was believed to weigh the hearts of the dead against the feather of truth, and those who were found wanting were destroyed by the goddess of the underworld, while those who were found worthy were allowed to pass into the field of reeds. Isis. Isis is perhaps one of the most powerful and influential goddesses in Egyptian mythology. She is depicted as a woman wearing a throne on her head and holding a staff topped with a flower. Her main center of worship was at Thebes, where she was considered to be the supreme ruler of the Egyptian pantheon. Isis was the wife of the god Osiris and the mother of Horus. She was also the sister of Nephthys and Selene, and the daughter of Geb and Nut. Isis was highly revered by the Egyptians and was seen as the embodiment of motherhood and the divine feminine. She was known for her healing powers and her ability to raise the dead. In one myth, Isis resurrected her husband Osiris long enough to conceive Horus. She was also credited with saving her son Horus from the evil eye of his uncle Set, who tried to kill him when he was just a baby. As the supreme ruler of the Egyptian pantheon, Isis was seen as the ultimate source of power and authority. She was the one who established the order of the cosmos and maintained the balance between good and evil. She was also considered to be the mediator between the gods and the mortals, and was often called upon to help humans in times of need. There are many more ancient Egyptian gods and goddesses that we could talk about, but these are some of the most important ones to know about. From the sky god Horus to the underworld goddess Nephthys, each of these deities played a unique role in the Egyptian pantheon and contributed to the rich tapestry of Egyptian mythology. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. And let us know in the comments below which Egyptian god or goddess is your favorite. And if you want to keep learning about ancient civilizations, stay tuned for more content. Thanks for watching.